When was our last meeting?
November? There was nothing in December?
Okay. I was trying to get my notes together.
Yeah, we had no applications in December. I think we had some that just came under the wire. I think one of them came in like a day or two after or something like that. But I'll let you take it off, Sandy. Go for it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order this regular meeting of the Killingly Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission. And actually, it's a kind of strange roll call, so you have two of us here in person and two more members that are here virtually, so that is a quorum.
Yeah, should probably just have everybody.
Yes,
signed off, right?
Sandy Eggers is here.
Rodney Galton is here.
Deborah
Fred
Bland-
Blumen.
And Deb, you're still
Deborah
here?
Lamiot.
All right, so we do have a quorum. And our secretary is also on remotely. So Sherry, I hope you can hear everything.
So far, so good, thanks.
All right, and I think you'll have a tape anyhow. All right, now we have the adoption of the minutes of the November 1st, 2021 regular meeting. I don't believe they were in that packet, the email, but they are here.
Oh, I didn't scan them in.
It was not attached, I don't think, because I even went and looked back to the one from like a week ago.
Okay. So it's up to you guys if you, so,
Since you guys don't have them, would it be better to hold off on those?
yeah.
Probably.
Because we don't
I
want to
think
really
we
read
should
them.
hold off.
Yep.
I
yeah, we
think
can
that's
do
a
that.
motion, isn't it, Fred?
Yes.
Second it. Second it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to table the minutes of the November 1st meeting for action next month when a copy has gone out in the email as well as here in person. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, guys. All right, citizens' participation, if you want to do anything other than, are you here for an application or something else today? Okay, so I guess we'll move right on then,
Yep.
right? And there is no unfinished business, that's why we did not have a December meeting. And we do have some items of new business. First item is application 21-1538 of Tammy Rainville and Robert Labonte for a redevelopment of an existing agricultural property for residential use. The plan is to demolish an existing barn and construct a two-bedroom, single-family home in the former barn's location. Also construct a detached garage with 900 square feet accessory apartment, new driveway, private septic, well, and associated amenities that go along with this project. And that is at 146 Pineville Road. Okay, do you want to start first and tell us what's going on?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay,
Come up to the microphone here. so
yeah,
you
and just
can-
give us your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Damian Sorrentino. I'm a certified planner and soil scientist from Boundaries LLC in Griswold. It is 179 Patchogue River Drive in Griswold is our office location. Tammy
Can
Rainville.
we pause for just 1 second
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
You working with them?
I use boundaries at work quite a bit.
If you state it for the record,
Mm-hmm.
and ask the applicant if he's okay, just because we're at that quorum line.
Okay.
It's up to you. Here.
I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable with it, so.
So if,
Rodney, you want to explain your use of the company?
yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
I contract with Boundaries for my work, and I don't want to.
Can't hear Rodney.
You can't hear me? My microphone's
No.
up. I
think
use
it's on. Oh, yeah, it is on.
I use Boundaries for my work. I contract with them to do work for me, and I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable, including the applicant, or actually.
All right, we've got
Yeah.
another person.
So it still holds, as long as you feel that you can hear the application and it's not going to bias you
Mhm.
because of the representation. You just say that and you can proceed.
I don't think this will not bias me, but I just want to make sure everybody's comfortable with me not recusing myself from this application.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? Applicant, anything?
I have no objection to
No
it staying,
objections?
no.
You have no problem with that?
No.
All right. And Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And we're glad to see you. You've missed nothing so far.
So Karina, just make sure we use the mic so everyone on there can hear you. Awesome.
Pass that plan to her?
Oh, yeah.
So you all are probably familiar with this property at the intersection of Pineville and Putnam Roads up there in the Pineville section. There's a two-story to the street and three-story to the back barn on this property currently. It was likely used as a hayfield. The barn probably was part of the kind of colonial era house across the street, and this agricultural property was likely used as a hayfield, at least the portion of it that is not wetland. Of the 7 acres, there's about 1 acre or so that's not wetland. The property is long along the Putnam Road frontage. As you can see on the location map there, it's much longer along the Putnam Road than it is along the Pineville Road side. And just inside the tree line at the edge of that former hayfield is a wetland that's associated with a water course that flows from a pond that's on the other side of Putnam Road. So I delineated the limit of that wetland that's just inside that tree line there, going from wetland flag 1 on the southwesterly side up to about wetland flag number 14, where that culvert comes across under Putnam Road. In addition to that, you'll see a A series, a wetland flag series 1A through 10A, that's kind of central to the property in this location here. That is, the vegetation types are such that it sparked my interest when I saw it. There were sedges and rushes there, much different from the goldenrod and other herbaceous vegetation around it. I went and investigated it with my soil auger and was able to push my soil auger right into the ground without even twisting it. So there was a development plan from 2007 that showed a house in that location, and there were some test pits done at that time. There are some surface boulders that were obviously unearthed during those test pits. And I believe that area that I delineated in the A series there is likely some old test pits or a bury pit or both. It is not contiguous with the remainder of the wetland that's inside the tree line, but the soils were muck and the vegetation type said these are wetland plants here. So I did delineate it. The proposal includes kind of eliminating that small area of muck by removing some of that material and then placing more suitable material. He's actually concerned if everything is approved here and he proceeds with the development as proposed, he could potentially lose a lawn tractor or something. There's just a very wet spot. So in addition to the other regulated activities that I'll explain in a moment, we are proposing to actually remove a bit of that material from that old bury pit, or test pit, actually put some stable material in there and then put some dry topsoil back in there, and he'll establish his lawn there. So the overall development scheme for the property is to demolish the existing barn. The applicant would have liked to remodel the barn and or keep its existing foundation, but neither the structure nor the foundation for that barn are suitable for reuse. It's a stacked stone foundation. The barn is in very, very poor condition. We actually had 2 staff members out there. We had a walk through just so everybody could see that it is not suitable for reuse. So being that it's a non-conforming building in that location, the owners want to replace that structure in its existing location with a new residence that kind of structurally pays homage to the existing barn that's there. So with the new residence, we have some retaining walls associated with that. The property slopes pretty sharply off of Pineville Road in that section there. We're going to have a new driveway. The residence has garage doors on the south side, so we're coming in off of Pineville Road, kind of sweeping to the north into those garage doors that are under the residence, and then also to the right, 2,400 square foot building that would have a garage and a 900-foot accessory dwelling associated with it. Because the existing building is there, we're allowed to rebuild in that location, but a new building, that garage needs to adhere to the current setbacks. Because this has frontage on 2 roads and it's in the rural district, it has a 75-foot front setback on both sides. So you'll see that that proposed building nearly touches the sideline setback on the south side and is just a few feet away from that 75-foot setback on the Pineville Road side. Both of those buildings will feed into a central on-site sewage disposal system, 1,500-gallon concrete septic tank. Both buildings will feed into that. Then it goes into a pump chamber, pumps the septic effluent up to the subsurface sewage disposal system, which is shown kind of in the southwesterly portion of the property. That is sized for 3 bedrooms. I'm sorry, four bedroom minimum for the 2-bedroom residence and the accessory dwelling unit, but we need to use a 4-bedroom system. So we have submitted this design plan to the Northeast District Department of Health, and also with an application for a central system exception from the Connecticut Department of Public Health, because both buildings are going to go into a central septic system. So the 200-foot upland review area would, from the delineated wetlands, would be off of the plan view on the sheet. We showed 100 feet just for a scale of reference, so you can see, and nearly all of the improvements are within 100 feet of delineated wetlands, except for the septic system. The closest we have any improvements proposed to the wetlands are in the proximity of wetland flag number 3, and that corner of the accessory dwelling unit barn building is about 26 feet off of the wetland. And that point, we have a large property here, but not much usable area to work with for the development proposed. So we have all of the on-site utilities, electric. We have a new well shown kind of on the northerly side of the property. Again, new house, exterior building, well, septic system. One other thing that we have to deal with is stormwater that's coming onto our property from Pineville Road. We could see from the aerial photographs that the town installed a series of catch basins there with a pipe connecting in between, and a discharge that comes out of the back of that catch basin. A discharge that comes out of a 12-inch reinforced concrete pipe onto our property. We're proposing to install a catch basin at the end of that pipe, take it 90 degrees down Pineville Road to another catch basin, and then discharge it on the southerly line of our property. We thought about continuing that pipe kind of straight through out towards the wetland, but it really got in the way with the subsurface sewage disposal system, the well lines, and all that kind of stuff. So our engineer came up with a plan to actually take that, turn it 90 degrees, run it down, and then run it along that southerly property line. There is no existing easement or rights to drain in favor of the town of Killingly, but that will be established if the plan is approved. That easement to maintain that piping and also the rights to drain in the location shown will be granted to the town of Killingly. So we have erosion and sedimentation controls, continuous line of sediment fence. We don't have any woody vegetation to clear here, so a continuous line of sediment barrier. Fence will be placed at the down gradient side of all earthwork. We have a feasible topsoil stockpile location there, which, as described and shown on the plan, will be ringed with sediment fence to prevent any fugitive sediment from migrating towards the wetland. So aside from the activity in the upland review area, the direct impacts to wetlands are just for that small A series. If you don't see it suitable for us to do that and make that kind of more firm ground, we can move that sediment fence around it and maintain it. But it is kind of a hazard for the property owner if he wants to establish lawn in that area.
Hey, Jonathan, had you been out there? There's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot jammed into that one little spot.
Yeah, so I did a site walk with the applicants, and we looked at foremost the existing structure, and focused a little bit more on the zoning aspect in terms of the
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, so they can put something back
Yep.
there?
Yep.
They can
Yeah.
put a residence there even though it wasn't?
It's a lot of record.
Oh, okay.
So when we look at lots of records.
Yeah, but when you look at a lot of record, it would probably be like that structure down there. This one's
Yeah, well,
not meeting the,
it's a 7 acre parcel, it just, a large portion of it is undevelopable.
Yep.
At least without significant impact to the wetland. So what's being proposed, at least is being shown by boundaries, is a minimal impact, or as minimal as an impact I think is possible. It's definitely an interesting property to try to develop because of the gradient, the added drainage from the town roadway, and quite simply the old structure.
and I'm just curious, this has nothing to do with our responsibilities or anything, but I get so sick of seeing lots of record come in.
Mhm.
This would be it, since it's a lot of record, and even though you've got the 7 acres there, it's not able to be split?
Yeah.
That's what I'm
You could
curious
try.
about.
In theory, you could always try to do a subdivision. I
But
don't
they
see
don't
that
get a
ever
free
going
split off
anywhere.
it.
You can try, again, you could split out, I believe, a lot, if, in theory, and the applicant can correct me if I'm wrong, you could try to split a lot,
Okay.
but I
You
don't
see what
think
I'm
it's,
saying?
It's not
I don't
happening.
think
Get
it's
sick of
gonna be any feasible, like, development right.
But so what you're saying is everything that's shown here meets the zoning requirements.
Yeah, so I have looked at the plan, and that's one of the foremost things. If for some reason they were applying and there was a need for a variance or anything like that, we typically would ask for them to apply for it now, but pragmatically, they wouldn't have to. If something was found and or if the applicant wanted to, they could try the first hurdle being wetlands or ZBA. There's really no order on that. But usually, if there was the need for a variance, they would be applying for
But
both.
there is none at this point.
I have not seen the need for a variance here.
We do need site plan approval for the accessory apartment.
Yes.
This piece of property, this wetland that you want to dig up and replace, is that just a spongy piece of ground, or does water accumulate there in the spring, or what?
I didn't observe it in the springtime. I delineated it in the summer. Of course, it was a wet summer this year, but it was wet to the surface. There was not standing water, but the topsoil was mucky and it's saturated. There are surface stones around it. It's obvious that this was disturbed, and there's no other wetland around it. And I did auger holes in between that isolated area and the main line of wetlands there, and it was not hydric soil in between. So it's likely that it was excavated previously. The groundwater's relatively shallow. We had modeling at 30 inches even up towards the road, so it's probably, in the 20s there. And if it's found, if the groundwater's found an easier path upwards than through the soil profile along the hydraulic gradient, it's going to come up, and that's what's happening. And then
So how far is that from the wood line?
And Fred, again, I just want to say, and same to Deb, I'm sorry you guys don't have the plan in front of you. That will be mailed out to you guys and emailed out to you.
Yeah, I'm just curious, how far is that from the wood line itself?
it's probably
not-
about 60 feet distant from the main wetland line, which follows
Okay, so
approximately
you
the wood
think,
line.
you're thinking this is more something that has appeared because of previous disturbance, not like a vernal pool or something that would fill up in the spring?
Everything that I saw indicates that it is man-made.
Okay, all right. That
Have
answers
some
my
relationship
question.
To the barn or something.
There may even be an animal buried there or something that's subsided over the years. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But
That's as likely as not.
it is distinctly different from the area immediately, completely surrounding it. But,
Yeah.
and the 2007 survey and plan had a wetland delineation that did not identify that location.
Okay.
But there were test hole locations in there, and the house that was on that 2007 plan was going right there, behind the barn. And the septic up where we have it now, so it's certainly disturbed.
Okay.
And in my opinion, a hazard for losing a piece of lawn equipment when it's saturated in the springtime.
We all live in wet spots. If they're dumb enough to bury their lawnmower, they can. You were thinking it, weren't you?
So again, we are asking to eliminate that wet spot. If the commission deems that that's inappropriate, then we'll move that sediment fence to the westerly side of it and we'll leave it alone.
What did you think when you were out there with, because like I said, it just looks like there's so much stuff going on. And I hate to plan something to go out because we don't know what the weather's gonna be right
Yeah.
now.
So,
But it's right smack there on that corner, so it's not like it would be hard for anyone to see it.
so like the applicant said, that there's an element that does go to site plan approval. Now, site plan approval for our secondary dwelling units typically is done at staff level, so that would be Anne Marie Aubrey, but she might bring in Dave Cap,
Yep.
myself, and depends on the setup, the building official, sometimes even just for comment. We look at that at staff level, and we've processed a few of those. The commission actually has the ability to retain the application though, so it gets put in front of them, similar to like an agent approval for you guys, like you guys have that option to, kind of keep it. So there is that element that's gonna go through. There's the possibility that through that process, the applicant might have to come back, if something was substantially changed. That being said, I've met on the property, and for what is the goal for achievement, I think the applicants proposed, pretty common sense approach. But there is a lot of moving pieces. You have the accessory apartment and you have the house, right? City sewer is not really an option here. Same for water. I think water's a couple hundred feet down the road, if not more. So a well is, again, another aspect of this. But for a property that's quite simply just sitting there and rotting away, that barn doesn't have many years left. It's a common sense, practical approach. I don't think it would make much of a farm at this point.
Can you zoom in on that area? Because that looks like a pond rather than just a wet spot.
I can.
I was wondering if they dug something out for that barn and, you know what I mean, for some kind of a use.
It
A well.
very well could have been, yeah.
Dug well,
I'll
anything.
change through the aerials. These are just, some different statewide aerials. Let's see, which area in particular?
The one where he's claiming just the wet spot, that previous area looked like it was an actual pond. It looked like a very dark area. That one right there.
This one?
Yes,
Yeah, I think that's just shadowing.
that's just shadow.
That's just shadow, yeah. This is a little bit older of an image here, but we can check a couple different ones. I didn't observe anything that looked like a vernal pool or a pond while there.
Okay.
So that water that's coming up, there's no spring under that ground, is there? Or where is the water coming from?
It's groundwater discharge. It's groundwater discharge. I'm not certain that there's pressure enough to cause it to spring up out of the ground per se, but it's certainly saturated at or near the surface.
You don't have, right now, you do not have approvals from Northeast District.
Can we table this?
So
You have
this
to
is
anyhow.
this is a new application, so your guys' common practice is you don't act on the first night. You can choose to do a site visit, but obviously I'll make sure that particularly everyone that's remote has all of the information in front of them
Right.
before next month.
So can you please answer that question?
We do not. We have submitted both applications. Northeast District Department of Health has about a 2-month turnaround time on application submissions now. I'm still waiting on applications submitted in November.
We typically do not approve anything until we have the copy of their
Correct.
letter.
Yeah, I notified the sanitarian of the date of the next meeting and asked her to have that approval, please, by that meeting. And there's, based on my observation of the site, there's no indication that that was ever a pond, that area was ever larger than it is today.
Okay.
The flags are still there in the field. In lieu of a site walk, I'm a wetlands commissioner in Brooklyn as well. In lieu of a site walk, it's very easily accessible. You can park
That's
in
what I
front
mean,
of the
it's right
barn.
there, you can see.
You can all stop individually so as not to have a posted agenda or anything
You don't
like
have to
that.
deal with,
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know
With
what
minutes
way
or
the weather's
anything.
gonna go either, so, you know.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, there is a open application, so we do have the.
So
right
we're
to
looking
visit
as
the
to
site.
whether or not just to accept this application, but we don't need to.
It's,
this is the month we accept it.
Yeah, it's just
It's
looking
being
at
received
accepting,
tonight,
it's
yeah.
receiving the application, as long as it's complete. If the way that usually goes is, in particular, a chair of the commission would deem it complete or not. I know a lot of times the common question is asking staff. Recently, there's been some court things saying that it should be the chair that says whether or not the application is complete. But it's also a good time to ask for additional items if you think there's just one or two, hanging chads or something out there.
Well, I think typically that's what that you do as staff with them
Yep.
throughout the next month anyhow.
Yep.
But like I said, I don't think it makes sense to plan a site walk at this time of year because we'll definitely plan it for the wrong time.
No, Go at
Yeah,
your
we'll pick a day
convenience.
and that will be the day it snows.
Yeah.
You go as early as tomorrow morning, the flags are still there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the big thing is to make sure you have your NDDH.
If you'd like, as staff, I can go out this week before that pending snow and everything, take some photos.
Yeah, that would probably help.
That helps.
Yeah, I'll probably stop by the site myself.
I think I will too. I don't know, the proximity of that barn, that's probably something they dug up to either get something out or put something in.
You would think so.
You'll
Those are
you'll
your
see
options.
that, you'll see that the vegetation is just very different there.
I mean, at least in that area, I know there are quite a few other berry areas on other properties within a mile.
Yeah.
In terms of like trash pits.
Or whatever, yep. All right, but like I said, I don't think it makes sense for a site walk. We have everything else here, so is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept the application without a site walk or public.
Second,
Motion's made and seconded to accept application 21-1538 without a site walk or public hearing. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you all for your time.
Yep, thanks. All right, next item is application 21-1540 of Brook Investments for construction of a single-family residence and garage at 43 Fallbrook Road. All right. I know we did a whole, is that one of the part of the subdivision that ran out of time or something, or is that another one up there?
Part of subdivision, it's one of the last lots on that subdivision.
Is this like the last lot up there? Or is there anything else left up there?
think that might be the last lot. I'm gonna pull it up as well, just so everyone can see it. I wanna say it is the last lot. Yeah, that's the last lot. Oh no, there might be one more up here to the north. Fallbrook.
One more big one.
Yeah, one more. About a good 2, almost 3 acres. Give you all my copies. So, I mean, this is a fairly simple application. Again, a lot of record. It's part of that subdivision. One of the, I would say, one of the larger lots in that subdivision, positioned, you know, right up against the highway. They're asking for a single-family residence and a garage. No apartment in this application, but pretty straightforward rural development. The one part's a little unique is that the shape of that septic. You don't usually see them wrapping like that. That kind of, but that's again something that will most likely be addressed by the sanatorium, the health department.
Do they already have health department approval, or is that just a file number from the past?
So one of the unique things, and forgive me because I gave my copy away, the property was delineated for wetlands, but it's an old delineation. It's part of that original
Yeah.
subdivision. So it doesn't look like they've submitted anything new in terms of delineation. The plan's newer. The health department, I don't think is in that packet.
Because
double check.
they
That pack-
reference there's a reference on it, that's why I was wondering.
Let me grab that.
File number, does that mean anything or not? Just struck me as odd when I saw that. Right up there. Oh, yeah,
I'll skim through it.
Yeah, I mean, it does say per NDDH approval.
yeah.
Plan set.
I know they did choose to submit a nitrogen calc, because they were the ones a previous applicant used to do a
Oh,
nitrogen
okay.
calc. So they're trying to get ahead of that, just in case. Let's see. And this is one that was submitted quite recently. So I haven't been able to do my full staff write-up yet.
But it may be already done, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
They did not submit a copy of it. And so if there is a application for NDDH, that will be the ask of the applicant is to give us a copy
Yep.
of that before next meeting, or
Yeah, the letter,
or
yeah.
provide proof of application, similar to what the previous applicant stated. I have been hearing there's been a long turnaround process.
All right, so you haven't really had a chance to look at this
I
much?
have not been to this site yet. It's a fairly wooded site. I will try to make an concerted effort to get out there before it snows, just to take a quick walk in the area of the proposed
When
development.
the rest of the subdivision was done and this lot was created, was anything proposed on it at that time, or was it, and
I
it
have
just
to-
ran out, or?
I'd
did
have
it-
to look at it. That was
I'm
before me.
curious
It
if-
was, I believe, 2006.
those-
So I will look at the original application for it, and just make sure
In,
there's no.
in
concerns.
this application, what I'm looking at, is that blue dot where they're proposing the house?
No, I'm sorry, Fred, that's just our GIS kind of picking the center of the property. I
Okay.
believe the house is closer to the 12.
Okay, all right, okay. So it's quite a ways away from where it looks like the brook goes through the lower end of the property.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be,
Yeah, the
Several
house is
hundred.
being proposed kind of in this area,
Yeah.
right here.
Okay, all right,
Because they're identifying on the plan, and you guys will get copies of it, some encroachments with the neighbor being identified, and then they're wrapping the septic kind of up here. The only thing that's, the furthest back thing is a well, and then kind of in this corner.
the,
okay.
I think perhaps the only thing that jumps out at me is that this delineation was done back in 2005.
Yep.
And with the rest of the development,
Yep,
things could change with drainage.
yeah.
Yeah, particularly, they reference like in that drainage letter that most of it is coming off of the highway
Yep.
and onto the site, and there is the potential that those
I mean, that could
those
change.
things could have changed or been
They should,
improved, or
they should have,
A current,
they
an
should.
an updated
They should.
soil guy take a look at it. Okay, I will reach out to Killing Engineering as the
yep, tell them to get it delineated.
With all the
applicant.
development that's happened through that area, I think it'd be wise to have it up.
I don't think the guy in front of him thought anyone was ever gonna build there. What do you think?
You know, absolutely.
Since he's got his,
Yeah.
his carport and his chicken coop over on theirs.
Yes. Yeah, only because there's been a lot of development through that area.
I think that makes sense. But that's definitely something that you should,
And that's
relay
almost
to them.
20 years old.
Yep,
at
so
this
we're
point.
looking for, before next month's meeting,
current
Up-
delineation.
yeah, updated delineation.
Anything else that you can think of?
And DDH.
And DDH.
Yeah,
But that may change depending on whether or not this wetland line is changed.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
I mean, they could go look at it fresh, not having walked the site and say, we don't need a wetlands application. I don't know.
Right.
That's true,
Because it's
too.
been that much time, so.
Right.
yep,
Right.
all right. Do we have a motion then?
Motion to accept application 21-1540 of Fallbrook Investments LLC with no site walk and no public hearing.
I'll second.
Second,
Motion's made and seconded to receive application 21-1540 of Fallbrook Investments with no site walk or public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Opposed? Motion carries.
No,
No? Why,
I oppose.
You oppose? Okay. So 3-1.
3-1.
okay, correspondence.
I have no correspondence that's been written to the commission directly. The only real, yeah, no correspondence.
All right, then we'll move right on to your staff report. And you were going to discuss an authorized agent application. And it would be application 21-1539 of Square One Building Associates for demolition of an existing cottage and construction of a new single-family residence with a garage at the lake.
Yep.
All right, tell us about this.
So this is on the southern area, and here, I'll pull it up for everybody else to see.
So it's on the private portion of the lake.
Yeah, I would consider, it's usually more
Privately
the
owned.
owned ones, it's not a leader.
It's not a leased lot,
Yeah, it's not a lease, well, some of them are leased, but they're
but that, yeah, but not part of the group.
not in the bigger group, no. So this is an owned lot, cottage is already here, right, so it's not a fresh development. They're proposing demolition of the existing cottage and reconstruction, roughly in the exact same footprint, just a reconfiguration. I do have a site plan that I'll hand over the chair. Pretty straightforward. We're not looking at any really major encroachments or anything that would start to bring of concern about, you know, getting closer to the lake any more than the properties have already encroached or already there at the lake. I'm gonna hand
They're
this
going the
off to
same
you guys.
footprint, is,
Yep.
it is the lake. Does that mean they're going like 4 stories high, or what's the? No, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the lake.
Yep. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
the height restriction's still there, so it's a 35-foot height restriction. That's an allowed height,
Yep.
for there. It goes from the common grade. I have not seen elevations for this. I think this is just a planned, thing. I believe these are Archer surveying plans. Usually he tries to, you know, box out roughly what they've shown for their floor plan and let them work out the details separately with their builder. Those are items that we would have to look at with the zoning permit when that comes in, and compare them to, in theory, a wetlands approval. If there was a wetlands approval, we have to make sure, does it fit? Is it what was approved, and or whether or not we have to come back. But I'm gonna give you guys a copy of that.
All right, is there any way we can't get a copy of it so they can see it at all on a screenshot or anything? No?
I can hold it up to them.
Let's put it by, that way we can all
Gather
scope this,
around.
gather around and see.
So what I'm showing them is the proposed garage and proposed house along with the proposed deck. When you look at the Alzad properties, they have a very generous building box. They allow 50% lot coverage. They're can get within 5 feet of the side setbacks. And there is an additional plan here, I believe, that shows the existing cottage. So the existing cottage is actually non-conforming in regards to the front setback. I think they're just looking to eliminate that as well, but you'll see the box, it's just a general reconfiguration, maybe a foot closer in the back.
So I see that they're proposing to remove the stone wall. Is that an actual retaining wall structure? Or is that just a decorative stone wall?
I would have to go on site. So that, through the agent approval process, we would do a site visit.
Okay.
That has not happened yet.
Okay.
I would assume that it is needed for grade change.
And that would be my concern.
Yep, and if that is the case, typically, even on my end, I would be asking for more detail for the topography change.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, that would be my
And
concern.
drainage.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, 'cause the way it is there, it almost looks like it goes right down to steps then.
Right, yes.
And he's not showing anything there, so
Nothing, yeah.
I find it hard to imagine they're just gonna fall off their deck anyway.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a dramatic change in grade, considering that the well is still kind of closer to the water on this plan.
Oh,
than,
okay.
You know,
It is,
so-
but I mean, if this is accurate, you have 5 steps going through
Down,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, we would have to look at it in the field,
Yeah.
on the agent end anyway. So that is how the application came in. It's a question of whether or not you as the commission are okay with it being an agent application, if you feel it should get risen up. I can tell you on the agent end, if there is substantial grade changing and anything like that, I probably would
Bring it back.
bring it up anyways. If they're not doing a substantial grade change and if the surveyor is able to provide me with a little bit more detail, a plan I can sign off on, you'd probably be looking at a conditional thing. Same thing, we ask for NDDH thing. Usually on a staff level, we'll ask for it conditionally because I know they cannot get a building permit unless they have NDDH approval by state law now. So.
I don't know, these always scare me. I don't trust most of the work that goes on out.
So when we're talking about, like, in terms of, like, agent approval, in particular, Alexander's Lake is very unique, right? So, in terms of agent approval, are these the types of applications, when we're looking at existing cottage, in addition to a cottage, or knock down rebuild of a cottage, roughly within that same footprint, or close to. Are those the type of applications that by default we should be saying need to come to the commission?
I like the way you're doing this.
Yeah,
This
well,
works
I'm trying
perfectly.
to make sure that we're all on the same page.
This
with
works
it.
good,
It
coming
does.
in like
Yeah.
this.
It does.
I think that anything though with the lake, I think there'd be it would help with the comfort level if you spent a little more time out there.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to, I think.
Yes.
I don't think it's what's proposed, I think it's what we see happen after
Yep.
the
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah, no, and that's actually conversation that has occurred on the staff level,
Yeah, so you see-
not speaking to this application, but
They
in
all look
terms
good on
of.
paper, but then it has to be
Yeah.
implemented.
So, we have had, individuals reach out to try to, allow us to go there and do a shoreline study, like just a general, photographic study, so that way we can say, okay, in fact, this is kind of how the retaining wall looked. This is how the, docks were set up. This is, and get a good baseline, match them up to the properties, so that way in the future, when, as is the typical way for like an enforcement action, we get a phone call and somebody says,
The neighbors
my
took-
neighbor took out their retaining wall and put a new one in, we have something to go by, because a lot of the aerial images aren't crowded there. The imagery isn't quite there, most of it tree cover. So I know the town manager has agreed in the past to the idea of us going out there. It's just we haven't
Makes sense?
had the time to do that yet. Most likely that would occur not in the winter.
Oh, God, yeah.
Although with ice, I could probably go around pretty quick and take photos.
You probably could,
That might be,
yeah.
that might be a good time to do it, actually.
Be a fun exercise. I love skating, so.
I don't know. I'd rather do the kayak myself, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think Sandy's right. I mean, I think this is how this should be handled, just because it is the lake. And the only thing is, they should be providing more detail on the actual elevations that are going on these properties.
Okay. Well, so I think moving forward, as long as the commission's good with it, I will ask the applicant for additional information and also look to do a site visit to see what this wall and topography looks like. And depending on how that goes, we'll determine whether or not I'm back in front of you guys just to let you know, oh yes, we did accept it, and then I can show you the information. Or I can say, no, in fact,
It's gotta
here,
come.
this is
Yeah.
the applicant. Now, that being said, we would look at this as being that first month, that acceptance kind of
Yep.
month.
And then we could act on it.
And then, in theory, you guys could act on it next
So
month.
that way, if you worked with them
Yep.
on what you needed, it would be
Yep.
ready.
Yeah, because I'm worried that they're just gonna grade right down to the water's edge.
Yep, and we don't want to create, an erosion
No.
issue or anything like that, so,
So when I see a wall like that, that's what jumps out.
yep, no,
Yeah,
agreed.
and that's not gonna be there.
Agreed. So,
And like you said, it looks like 5 steps on the other
It does,
side.
yes, it does, yeah. So it's gonna be rather substantial in a short amount of space, so.
okay, I don't think I need a motion, if you
I
guys
don't
want to
think
make one.
so.
but-
I don't think so, since it would technically be still authorized agent
It would
realm.
still be in front of the agent.
Okay. And for the
But we like doing it
commission
this way.
members at home, I'm gonna try to get you guys scanned copies of all these documents, just so you can see what we're looking at. All these all these plans and everything will be on the website, in particular before next month's meeting as part of the packet. That's just been our kind of common procedure. I wasn't sure how many people are gonna be at home, today, so I do apologize again to you guys for that.
Jonathan, if you could just give a quick summary of what you guys were kind of discussing, we couldn't quite hear all too
Okay.
well.
So,
Yep.
so on the plan itself, we discussed some deficiencies. There's a stone wall indicated as potentially being removed. It's a question of, is it a decorative stone wall or is it a retaining wall? And if it is in fact a retaining wall, what is the regrading proposal? The other aspect of the application that would be relevant is just quite simply elevations, something to show us exactly what is being proposed at the property. So just asking the applicant and going to the property to get some more information before next month's meeting. If they're able to get all that and there's not a concern of impact, it is an agent application. If I feel comfortable to move forward with it, I will. But if for some reason it's, they're regrading near the lake, it's looking to be a little bit more impactful, this will be back in front of the full commission for you guys to weigh in it next month.
Thank you.
Yep. Any questions from any of the commission members that are remote?
No.
Anything else, Jonathan?
Um,
And do we have a council liaison at this point? Has anyone
I
been
have to
appointed?
double check who the council liaison is at this point. The town council meets tomorrow, so I'm gonna double check with the town manager and see if I can get that answer. So I wanna make sure that they're on the email list.
Yep.
The only other thing I have, which I mean, I can talk of it under the town council liaison, we are doing the rapid COVID handout on Wednesday night. That's going from 6 to 8:30. It is one box, which is 2 tests currently per household. We are asking for identification, so that way we're not seeing people from different towns trying to grab these and stuff, because they are being passed out to each municipality. So a few staff members will be handing those out here at the town hall. I believe it's gonna be like a drive-through type setup. I'm not sure if we might change the venue or anything will change. I did see some of the stuff that occurred in Plainfield today. They had some big backups with their handout. I don't know if that's gonna change anything, but if there is any changes, any other things, the best place to look is on the town website or on the town's Facebook page, because that's where we're posting any directions, any changes. If for some reason you don't have access to a computer, then you're probably not watching this meeting, but you can call the town manager's office or check with them for information as well.
You expect that to be Wednesday, you said?
That's on Wednesday, yep. I believe we've gotten the kits at this point, or we're getting the kits. They felt confident enough to set a day. So I know we set a day last week, and statewide the kits didn't come in. So, but I am hearing that they have been handed out in neighboring towns. So we're gonna move forward on Wednesday and pass them out. I want to say it's around 2,000 kits or so, which is not enough for every household in town. I know that. So if someone is more in need for those kits, I would ask that those would be the people first.
All right, anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, all.
Night.
Good night.